Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Movie Wars podcast. We have another exciting interview series for you today. A guy that I've been interacting with for a while. Really stoked to finally get him on the show. He's a screenwriter, producer, actor, originally from Los Angeles, and we'll get into this later, but he's primarily based out of Southeast Asia these days. You probably saw his movie because it was one of the most highest watched films on Netflix when it came out, Point Blank. I got to rewatch it recently. We'll talk about that. He's got a couple other great projects coming out and in production right now, like One Day in October, which is an 8-episode series about, and we got Elmo. We got Elmo here. But One Day in October, which is an 8-episode series about the events of October 7th. In 2015, he wrote Man Down with Shia LaBeouf, Gary Oldman, Kate Mara. We got all kinds of credits here. And then you have some other great projects coming up, and we'll get into those as well. But welcome to the show, and you're coming from your car with Elmo, and you're a warrior. You've had a hell of a day.
Dude, I've had such a fucked up day.
Yeah.
And look at this. I'm literally coming to you live from a car in Newport Beach with Elmo because my son just like wreaked hell. Look at this. I have a handicap decal that I'm putting up here as a light diffuser to try to keep this as less of a horror film vibe as possible. But then I got this thing, which is just pure horror.
It's amazing. I better say your name too. Adam Simon, ladies and gentlemen. I forgot to even say your name. I had my eye on the Elmo. Welcome, man. I'm so glad we made this happen. And you're a warrior for having the day you had and still hopping on from the car, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, man. It's been amazing.
Yeah.
No, it's been an incredible day. I flew into town and hit the ground running. So yeah, and mudslides and fires and all that stuff. But we're here and I'm in a car because baby's sleeping.
Yeah, man.
So, me going, talking shit about Hollywood and talking about how great it is to not live in this state anymore in a very loud voice is probably something that would wake my son up.
Yeah.
So my, significant. So Larissa's like, "Are you doing a podcast?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Oh my God, just don't do it in here."
That's amazing.
Like I'm doing so she's like, "Just don't do it in here." I'm like, "I know. Wait, where do I go?" And she's like, "The car?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can make the car work." So here we are.
Yeah, man. And you come back, we'll get into your travels and where you live now, but when you come back, it's a disaster. It's just...
Yeah, literally, dude. And you know what's crazy? I was talking to somebody and me and this guy, and things got a little heated as things do with old Simon. Or as my buddy Patrick likes to refer to me as the angriest man alive. My acronym is AMA, angriest man alive. I think it's a bit unfair. I'm not the angriest man alive. That would be, I don't know, Tommy Lee Jones or Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude. But I remember talking to this producer and I said, man, this whole place is going to burn to the fucking ground.
Mm-hmm.
So it would behoove you to at least have an exit strategy. And if not for yourself, then maybe for your family. That was the last thing I said to him. Mm-hmm. And his house burned down in the back.
Oh my God.
Fired. I'm just like, not to laugh, but it's just like, man, this place literally is. And anybody, I'm a diehard Angelino. I grew up here. I was born and raised here. But, I lived through the Northridge quake, the LA riots, and back in those days, we were having earthquakes all the time. It felt like we were having an earthquake every weekend, and fires were a regular thing. We had a fire sweep through where we lived in Antelope Valley at one point in time. And it's just like, you always grow up with like this thing of like, at any moment, either some natural disaster is going to sweep through and wipe everybody out, or people are going to turn on each other, or, fill in the blank with like whatever it is. It's not like, people like to say like there's this, politicians like to say there's this sense of unity, that we're all kind of like one tribe, and, Californians, we all stick together. Not so.
Yeah.
When you start pulling levers on food, water, and resources, people turn on each other pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And, so you gotta, and there's pockets, I'm painting with kind of a broad brush, but there's pockets of people and communities that will take care of each other. But, it's that thing. Everybody's got leverage, and you start to go, hey man, would you ever punch a newborn baby in the face? And it's like, no, I'd never do that. Well, would you do it for $100,000? No, never. 200,000, a million, 2 million, 5 million. And then people start going,
Yep.
maybe. How
Yeah.
hard am I punching this baby? So anyway, that's to say that all this is to say that it's wild coming back here and to just kind of see the madness. I mean, I've lived outside the US now for 3 years, and I've spent a lot of my life traveling around, but it's wild to see LA from outside of LA, the United States from outside of the United States, and then to come back and just go, whoa, like this is just kind of crazy. And again, pockets of goodness, but it's a shit sandwich that's punctuated by, flavors of goodness.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and what's even crazier is, you've taken your craft internationally. We talked about that earlier when we were prepping for this call. Like you were able to get outside of LA, outside of the bubble, and continue to have success. And you've got, just as many, if not more exciting projects in the chamber. So you left the bubble, not just culturally speaking, but you took your craft elsewhere, and you're having a good time, right?
Yeah, man. Working with some of the most incredible people, just incredible people around the world. And you start to go, wow, maybe there is something to this. And yeah, you're uncomfortable, I guess, like, but I've always been a nomad. I've always been a bit of a gypsy. I'm grateful for, the time that I had where the bottom fell out. I had to kind of readjust and reconfigure things and figure out who I was. Even my time on the street, I just, I'm comfortable in moving around and being nomadic. And my amazing wife is just, I mean, dude, she's the same way. Like she, lived kind of touring around the world, and you start to meet these artists, filmmakers, musicians, editors, directors, actors, you name it, and they're just fantastic. I mean, there's a reason why South Korea is just banging out amazing films in all types of genres. We've over the past little bit, we've had The Last Train to Busan, we've had Parasite, we've had Squid Game, just these really kind of cool stories that are being told. And then I find the same thing coming out of Iran, coming out of Israel, coming out of Brazil, coming out of Portugal, just incredible artists and filmmakers that I've been able to partner up with and make some really good projects. So yeah.
What was the straw? I mean, it sounds like you ruminated for a while. I mean, you were having success. It's not like you didn't leave because of a lack of success, but there must have been some interesting straw that finally you're like, fuck it, I'm done.
Yeah, man. It was a combination. It was kind of like everything kind of all hit at once at the same time. So it was like several straws.
Yeah.
I'll start with the biggest, which is, I met this incredible woman, like just a bolt of lightning, and really, really just an amazing human being who had done something that I'd never experienced before, like at least in a relationship. And that was, she held me accountable. Like she would hold me accountable to things and call me on my bullshit. And we found out we were having a kid, and it was like, okay, where do we want to raise this child? And she's in the entertainment industry, And we were like, well, not here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, not here. And we're like, so where's the place, man? Where's home? And it really started over a dinner conversation where I said, what's home to you? And she's like, well, I was born and raised in Brazil, but I've spent my whole life living out of a suitcase and kind of traveling around the world. And I said, well, where do you think is the best place to raise a family? And we started having those conversations. And then, we decided to kind of travel around and look and see, where would it be? And so we go between Thailand and Brazil, predominantly in Thailand, but that's where we've been going for the better part of 2 years, and it's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the positive. That was the biggest motivating factor. Like, where do we need to go? And it's not this place. But the other thing was the projects that I had started researching and being involved in. One was this project called Mice, with this team of producers, really amazing people. This woman, Suzanne Migdal, Daniel Finkelman. But it's the story of Jonathan Pollard. And Jonathan Pollard was a spy who was around during the Reagan administration. Excuse me, he wasn't a spy. He was a naval analyst who was accused of spying for Israel. When in fact, the reality is the guy was starting to uncover really kind of dirty, sinister shit that the United States was involved in, specifically intelligence agencies and subsidiary companies that were employed by intelligence agencies. And so he decided to let Israel know about it via Mossad, because he felt that Israel was in danger. So the guy was arrested, spent 32 years in prison. Part of that, no matter what, there's this ex-CIA guy who has a podcast, Bustamante, and he's got another ex-CIA guy who love pushing out half-assed propaganda points without really fully. They have a broad knowledge of certain things, but they definitely don't research deeply into the things that they're talking about, specifically when they're talking about Jonathan Pollard. One of the guys, I forget his name, just to put it bluntly, he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. And just puts out a lot of like agency talking points. But, so they call him a spy and a traitor, and he's a traitor to America and all this other shit. But the biggest kind of thing about Jonathan was he, and I'll tell you why this leads to me leaving the country. But Jonathan, uncovered, amongst many things, that one of the things was that the United States was manufacturing chemicals that for Saddam Hussein in the United States, that these chemical companies that were contracted by the CIA were making modified Lyme disease, modified West Nile virus, mustard gas, sarin gas, for Saddam Hussein to be used, which he did. And he used against Iran in a chemical weapons attack against the Geneva Convention. It's a war crime. And the CIA provided logistical support to Saddam Hussein in that attack. Those chemicals were then made into what we now know are weapons of mass destruction. So the weapons that we invaded Iraq to go get, we fucking made. So that's a big deal. But one of the other things that happened and where things get muddy is that there was a legitimate evil individual named Aldrich Ames who was a spy and did some horrific shit, cost a lot of American lives and assets and resources. And Pollard became the fall guy for Aldrich Ames until decades later when the United States sorted it out and was like, oh, this wasn't our guy doing evil, reprehensible shit. It wasn't Pollard. It was actually this other dude. So that's kind of the 30,000 foot view. That research and me meeting with the man, talking to the man, taking a very unorthodox approach to writing the script, which was I met with arms dealers. I met with drug dealers. I met with people who are descendants of those that were directly involved in Iran-Contra. met with the people that were facilitating the deals that the CIA says never fucking happened, and they showed me all their receipts. That made me go, I need to get the fuck out of here.
Mm. Yeah.
That, and, you know, because the script was out there and being kind of shown around Hollywood and being pitched around, I was scooped up by a legal attaché to the State Department who interrogated me for 3 days.
Wow.
About Jonathan Pollard. And I was like, well, this is a bunch of bullshit. Like, you know, my tax dollars are going to you to fly from Langley to scoop me up in Bosnia and interrogate me. That's kind of fucked.
Yeah.
So, and you know, I'm not revealing anything in the script that you guys don't already know. So I don't understand what the problem is. So that gave me a different kind of, and I know I'm hitting you with a fire hose of information, but like that gave me a different experience with the intelligence apparatus of the United States. And then one other experience, which was another straw that broke the camel's back, which was seeing kind of, again, this is a different intelligence agency, the FBI, but just seeing how there's kind of this unholy relationship between law enforcement in Hollywood, some intelligence agencies in Hollywood. And, you know, everybody likes to say on, you know, American media outlets that Hollywood got better with the Me Too movement and the downfall of Harvey Weinstein, which, yeah, he's a scumbag and needed to go. But it really didn't. It just got more secretive. It got more secretive. Non-disclosure agreements got way more complex. Contracts got way more complex. And the monsters are still monsters and they're still there. They just operate, you know, differently. And we talked a lot about men in Hollywood, and rightfully so. You know, these scumbags who got taken down, James Toback, Harvey Weinstein, some of these other guys. But not a lot about some of the female monsters, some of the, you know, LGBTQ monsters that are out there. And yeah, monsters, abusers, people who abuse the system and abuse others and kind of use Hollywood to obtain a position of power whereby they can step on the neck of somebody else. Those people are black, white, gay, straight, male, female, transgender, you name it. Like they come in all shapes and sizes. But we've taken care of one little nugget, one little corner of that in this industry. The only other industry that dwarfs Hollywood as far as corruption is concerned is Washington. But yeah, so kind of all this together, new family, my experiences kind of with the intelligence agencies in Hollywood itself, and just the scumbaggery of actors.
Yeah.
In particular, just made me just go, man, fuck this place. And you know, you find really great people, man. Like, and there's great people here, but it's kind of like, you know, show me 20, you know, decent, you know, hardworking, you know, fill in the blanks of whatever it is. And then you start to go, okay, maybe there's 10, maybe there's 5. Oh, you know, and then you come around to the same usual suspects. You come around to like, oh, Keanu Reeves is great. Yeah, everybody fucking knows Keanu Reeves is great. He's wonderful. He's an amazing human being.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people like that. Everybody's still chasing, they're just boys and girls that weren't hugged enough as kids. That's who ends up being actors.
Yeah.
And people in positions of power. And that's scary, you know, because when they get that power, they're usually abusing it. So, yeah.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that story.
That was a big rant. That was a lot of shit.
No,
that was
that's
a lot
good.
of shit.
I asked, man. No, that's why we're doing this, man. I love the free flow. I appreciate you sharing. You know, because you've hinted at like elements of this on social, but like hearing the whole story like together was really informative.
Yeah, I mean, I got to see this, which is why I jumped into AI. Right, was to kind of like clean up this industry that needs a lot of cleaning up. It's like, you know, and you hear stories like people are like, do you remember, you know, back in the 80s and 90s when you would, you know, show up on a film set and then, you know, somebody would pay you in cocaine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you know, that some of that shit still goes on, but like particularly in the areas of film finance, film distribution, film sales, you're dealing a lot with money laundering. You're dealing a lot with just a lot of corrupt kind of angles that involve sex, money, power, manipulation, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And so I've always taken the position of like, I'm not about that shit. And I don't really take this that seriously. Like there's more important shit in life. Like I'd rather sit on the playground and hang out with my kid than spend time with, you know, any of these fucks.
Yeah.
But when we do the job, we take that very seriously. So yeah, man, you know, I've been privy to kind of some projects, conversations, people that I also think, you know, certain individuals would find valuable, that information from me, and I'm just not willing to give it up. You know, there's, you know, you look at like the FBI, for example, man. I said this to an FBI agent one time that was asking me questions in relation to Jonathan Pollard, which then also led to other questions about individuals in Hollywood. They were just fishing for information. And I just said, and if you don't know this, the FBI building in LA, massive facility. It's right across from the Veterans Memorial, right over on, was that Wilshire or Sunset? It's one of the two, kind of up near Brentwood. And I just said, you guys have a massive facility here. It's enormous. On top of that, the LAPD has got a sex crimes, you know, unit. They have a unit specifically tasked for, you know, human trafficking and things like that. Yet, I don't see you guys going after anybody unless it makes a TMZ headline. Like it seems like it's more politically motivated than anything else. Because, and why do I know that? Well, here's the deal. Here's the real deal. And, you know, because people talk all the time about the evils of Hollywood and the Illuminati connections and fucking human trafficking and all this other stuff. The Diddy tapes, all this other stuff, right? And I'm like, all that's valid. All that's valid. Let's talk about it. But what I said to this FBI agent is I said, I can go to any massage parlor here on Sunset or Santa Monica, from Santa Monica itself all the way to damn near downtown LA. And almost every single one of them, you will find people that are trafficked. They're brothels that are masquerading as massage parlors, you know? And I'm not talking about guys who are talking about, you know, like rub and tugs, or like somebody who's doing something, a business that they set up themselves and they're treating it like an OnlyFans. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I'm talking about people that are forced there against their will, and it's a brothel, like a Pahrump, Nevada, fucking Las Vegas, you know, brothel. And nobody's doing shit about that. Why? Like you guys aren't doing anything about that. And that's a massive amount of people. And that's just one fucking street. That's not to say like the whole city or the whole state of California or the whole country, you know? And it's like you guys aren't doing anything about that. Yeah. So, but you're coming to me about information about a producer or somebody like that because it's going to make headlines. Why don't you do something about that? Oh, it's because this gang, this, you know, criminal organization runs this. You don't want to step on their toes. You guys have a relationship. You know, you're working whatever angle you're working. So I get it. You know, the United States is the #1 consumer and producer of child pornography in the world. So like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like some evil cabal that's over here. The cabal is everywhere. It's your neighborhoods. It's your hometown. It's and I isolated one specific industry, but it's not just that. It's fucking everywhere. So, like, clean up your own fucking neighborhood. Be responsible for the people right around you instead of looking for the boogeyman that's pulling the strings, like, on a BlackRock Vanguard level.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I'm sorry for the rant. It's just like, it is crazy to me. I was talking to Vincent Vargas about this. I said, what's crazy to me, bro? Is I said, I know the flight number and the colonel's name that flew this shit over to Iraq. Like, I know people's names and we kind of say them. We see them pop up in Simpsons episodes. We see them come up in comedians' jokes. And then when they finally get found out, people go, oh shit, they weren't really joking. Like, that was some real shit. And it's like, yeah, but you didn't do anything about it. Nobody did anything about it. And that's the frustrating thing to me about America is we don't do shit. We are a nation of keyboard warriors, by and large. And I'm not speaking of, military men and women or anything like that. I'm just saying that, this is a country that was founded on a revolution, and those revolutionaries are dead. Yeah. And it's just a nation of couch potato motherfuckers that sit there and talk about revolution and change and ain't shit changing.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I can't do anything. There's more powers that be that are more powerful than me. So I'm just going to post up where I can look at this beautiful little boy every day, this amazing woman, do some fishing, write some stories, make some art, and meet some cool people like you.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm the highlight. No.
There you are. That's what I'm saying. Dude, I loved your guys' deep dive. Dude, when you guys talk about The Crow, that's my shit.
Yeah, man.
Crow was my fucking movie, dude. I love that movie. Love that movie.
Yeah, I was so excited to finally do it, and when the reboot came out, I was like, finally, my excuse to just fan over Brandon Lee, and obviously there's a couple of rough middle ones, but the Crow '94 is just, I didn't realize you loved it so much,
bro. I'm such a massive fan, like the soundtrack, everything. I bought a trench coat. I was running around thinking I was the fucking Crow, and you know what the amazing thing is, his performance was so good. It was so good. Everybody was on the level in that movie. Everybody, everything about it. Like, it was so wonderful. And everything that's come since, I haven't seen the new movie, but the trailer, I'm just like, get the fuck out of here. Like, the one with Brandon Lee just smokes. It kills.
I had to subject myself to the new one. I took a bullet for you. Don't worry.
You see it?
I did.
I didn't
against my will.
God damn it. I didn't want to watch what you guys were saying about that because I haven't seen it yet. But I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
The word that came to mind instantly was soulless. It was just when I say that, it just did not have, like, and this, like, one of the reasons I love older films versus newer films is just because there's so much, like, reasons they don't get made, or there's reasons like holding back, or creative decision, like sacrifices, lack of budget. And like The Crow had so much of that. And whenever you take that away, I feel like it reduces, everyone has that comfort level, and the movie kind of loses that soul. Like, man, this movie may not get made. Like, who is Brandon Lee? Like, why is he our protagonist? Like, what's happening here? And it just had none of that, man.
Dude, I loved seeing, wow, Adam, you're really going to forget his fucking name? Shit. I love seeing what's his name pop up again in Nope. Oh, the guy who played the villain in The Crow.
Oh, not Polito. Well, Polito passed.
He was also
played Top Dollar. He played Top Dollar.
Prince of Thieves.
Yeah, I don't know how I could forget his name. I literally talked about him for 4 episodes straight.
Guy goes, I'm gonna do an impersonation for you.
Yeah.
Caw, bang, fuck, I'm dead.
Dude, that was spot on. That was so spot good. On.
Yeah.
My fault.
Yeah. Or then when he goes in Robin Hood, when he goes, but why a spoon, cousin? Why not a fork or a knife? Because it'll hurt more, you twit.
Oh, so incredible,
good.
Man. They just never, and they never even got close to that again. in that franchise. Yeah.
Ever. It's wicked. It was emotional. It was great. The editing, everything. It's just fantastic, dude. It's
David
so
Patrick
good.
Kelly as
there we go.
incredible as God. Why is it escaping me now? I researched it for hours.
Yeah, we got to look that up.
But he plays Sully in Commando as well. He's just a great snarky kind of, schlarmy bad guy,
It's really good. Really good.
Yeah.
Hell of an actor. And Brandon Lee was fantastic. Fantastic. I mean, his emotional performance, physical performance, everything about it. It was just great. I was in that, man. Listen, unapologetically, everybody loves to go, yeah, man, it was all about, NWA and Black Flag, bro. Like I love those guys, but fuck it. I'll say it. Depeche Mode and PM Dawn was my shit growing up. And 9 Inch Nails, fucking forget it. Like that was also great. KMFD, which I think stood for Kill Motherfucking Depeche Mode. KMFDM. But everybody that was on that soundtrack, they were all people that I was fucking with and rocking with. Same with the Natural Born Killers soundtrack. That soundtrack's out of control.
Yeah.
The Judgment Night soundtrack. You remember that? Oh, that was great.
Yeah, Stone has a thing with soundtracks, man. He does great.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Those movies.
Do you think? I mean, we're just free flowing now, baby. We got a ninja.
I love it, man.
We're just free flowing.
You were talking about Point Blank earlier.
Yeah.
That's got a hell of a soundtrack.
Dude.
That's a lot of fun.
Dude, I know. I was when we were talking yesterday. I was like, oh, this is a good reason to rewatch it. Because it had been a while, and I was telling you about the car wash scene, and I was just I forgot how badass that whole thing is, and then. When she tells him that she gives him money and tells him how to wash his car, and he's like, I got a gun in my pants.
I got pepper spray in my purse. I got a gun in my pants. Yeah, no, dude, that was a lot of fun. And that came from the producer calling Lynch and I and saying, hey, there was a chase scene that was supposed to take place on a bus. And it was like a tourist bus. So it was like this crazy kind of chase scene. And there was supposed to be something that happened at the train station. And they called us up and they said, we don't have it. Like, we don't have the location, and it's going to cost us too much money. And they were like, shit, well, what do we have? And so then we started asking those questions and looking through locations. And Lynch, goes, gas station. We got a gas station. There's a car wash next to the gas station. And then he goes, I don't think there's ever been a fight scene in a car wash. And I said, no, there's been a fight scene in a car wash. And he goes, no, I don't think there is. He's like, Google it. So then we sat down and started looking around. We're like, oh no, we found this film. It was like some obscure, European film that had a fight outside of a car wash that spilled kind of into one, but not really. And they were like, no, fuck it. We got the car wash. Let's do it in the car wash. So then we kind of came up with this thing, and it's so fun. Like, doing that shit with Lynch, he's a blast. Yeah. And we're doing another one together. We have a film we're doing right now. We're finishing packaging it up. It's called Meat Paw.
Nice.
Meat Paw. And it's the most batshit crazy thing I've ever put to paper. I mean, it is clinically insane, but it has a lot of heart. But I just think when people, like, if I'm watching a trailer for Meat Paw, I'd just be like, what the fuck is this? Like, what in the hell is this? This looks so nuts. But yeah, we, on the car wash, I just remember the conversation. It was like, okay, so then they get from there and they get into the car wash, and Lynch is like, and that's where they jack a car, a PT Cruiser. It's got to be small, it's got to be a slow car. And I'm like, that's hilarious. And even in the script, it says, and then begins the slowest car chase scene in history. And that's how we wrote it. It didn't get necessarily executed that way, just because there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. There's a lot of producers and stuff. But had it gone the way we wanted, it literally would have been like, literally the PT Cruiser couldn't go over 40 miles an hour. And so they would have to figure out a different way to get out of the situation.
Yeah.
Oh, but it was
Dude,
great.
it's great. Like one thing, it's an hour and 26 minutes, and the pace is just boom, boom, boom. And I not to be overly critical, but a lot of Netflix native properties, what I'll say is like, obviously there's all these production companies and they sweep up and buy up. Like a lot of them, the commonalities I see is pacing and like maybe a really strong start, but the plane doesn't always land. I don't know why specifically to Netflix. I'm not even talking about all streaming platforms, sure. Netflix properties, but Point Blank. And it gave me Lethal Weapon vibes. It gave me 90s vibes. It gave me buddy cop vibes, even though they're not cops, right? But it gave me some of that Lethal Weapon dynamic that I loved. And the pace, that hour and 26 minutes goes by. And it's just boom, boom. And it's over. And you're like, that was exhilarating. That's why I love it. Because you just don't get that kind of pace all the time. I don't feel like. I don't know why.
We talked about that, man. We talked about that all the way through. It was like, it was like, that was the great thing. And also not being beholden to the genre itself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's some gnarly deaths in Point Blank.
Yeah.
And some really like, fuck, man, like that's pretty crazy when you think about it. But there's also great comedy, and there's great, kind of levity and even romance to a certain extent. Like there's some really great things. And, the movies that I loved growing up, like everybody talks about. I had this conversation the other day. So we were all sitting at the table. Oh, it was with Lynch. It was Joe Lynch, Patrick Hibler, Max Bricklin, a bunch of other people. We were all sitting around this table, and they're just like, all right, go around. Who's everybody's top 5 favorite movies? And of course, it was like On the Waterfront, this stuff, and the works of Truffaut, shit like that. And it gets to me, and I'm like, I don't know, man. Groundhog Day, Lethal Weapon, Babe, Pig in the City, like fucking, you know what I mean? Like I loved. Oh God, Lethal Weapon's just so great like that. It's got that thing,
It's bang bang. The dialogue's bang bang. The action, everything about it, it advances, but it doesn't sell you short. Like the dialogue, the interactions, it's just, it's moving, but you're there. Like you're not like, what's happening? You're like laughing your ass off, and then action. It's I can't describe it, but Lethal Weapon has that thing.
Yeah, and I got a lot of shit for this, but not a lot, a little bit. Definitely not as much shit I got for Man Down, but I did get some shit of somebody's like, oh, and look, a very filmmaker, privileged white dude thing to put in Point Blank, to have the drug dealer be a William Friedkin, aficionado, whatever, or a William Friedkin fanboy. I can't remember how they put it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a real motherfucker.
Yeah.
So my dude, who if you would love to speak to him, his street name is Big D.
Wow.
He's here in California. Shout out to Big D. Shout out to Lou. And that motherfucker loves movies.
Yeah.
I would say retired. He doesn't do that shit anymore.
Yeah.
So he's going to be like, yo, don't put me on blast like that. But he's very much that way. Like, and every, criminal, any individual that's, from that world as portrayed in movies in the past, they've always been like running Scarface in the background or running Goodfellas in the background. And it's like, those aren't the people that I knew, like they were, especially this guy, he was all about it. He's like, man, Sorcerer's like that's a crazy movie, And so it was based off of a real person who really loved movies. And I wanted to see something different, and he was right. Everything the Big D says in there is right. He's like, when motherfuckers were tripping about, lightsabers and shit, this guy was telling the real shit. He was talking about the real shit, it's true.
And he's talking about To Live and Die in in LA, and he's like, going, yeah. Dude, I know. And he was, and at that point in the film, you're kind of settled with the characters. You're kind of like, all right, we're halfway through. These are our characters. And then you add Big D in, and there's this new like uplift. You're like, oh, we got another like really great character. Yeah. And I fell in love with him instantly. Once he starts talking about movies, I'm like, he's me. You know, it's like, it was amazing.
And I don't know if you noticed this at the end, but that's Big D's car that's going after Abe at the end when his car is driving off and the music starts. That's his car that's going after him. So there was a whole kind of, and Markice Moore is just an amazing actor. He's incredible. He's so good in that role. Like there was a whole sequel that we had planned and wanted to do, but man, there's no way that's happening. Like,
you don't, no chance. I'd love to see it.
I'd love to see it too. I would like to do, more on that. And if it's not, Mackie's, I talked to Mackie a few weeks ago about this other project, and he's like, man, Marvel owns my ass.
I was going to say,
he's like, I cannot move. I cannot breathe. I cannot shit without, I'm fucked for the next 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, but I love it. I love the project, send everybody my love. That was on something different, but we had talked about it. And even if it wasn't with Mackie, it might be, we talked about Marquise's character. We talked about Big D and doing like an origin story of Big D or carrying on, what happens, after the credits roll. But I think how we would have to start that movie is with Frank Grillo's car blowing up and him dying in the first 5 minutes. That's the only way that movie gets done.
Yeah. Yeah. Grillo rocks.
Such a dick.
Yeah. Yeah. But it makes sense though. I mean,
yeah.
His delivery, a lot of the comedy is because I don't know if I've seen him in other stuff, right? And I haven't seen him have to have comedic delivery in a. He has incredible timing in that movie. I was like, because I had seen him in a couple of TV shows before. I wasn't super familiar before. I was really impressed by his comedic timing.
Yeah, man, like he did a good job. I thought, and part of that is, just the roles that they settled into. Like, he's playing it straight.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing it that way. And I think, just playing the real of the situation, like playing comedy, particularly now. I don't know why this is, but a lot of like comedic movies or comedic shows, they're just written like, I don't know, Disney. Like they got that Disney, like fucked up Nickelodeon thing going on.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, well, I don't know what like everybody's got this like cartoony weird thing going on. They're not human. They're like, I am a funny robot. And you see these characters and you're like, nobody I know acts like that. Nobody fucking talks like that. And like great comedy, at least for me, is like not playing it funny. It's playing it straight. And you find the comedy like in the moment, which is a lot of fun. Like, when Frank reaches into his pocket and pulls out the flash drive and everybody flips the fuck out, and Markice is like, whoa, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? And it's funny because you're like, oh, this tough guy is like now scared shitless because he thinks and he's like, it's a fucking flash drive. And he's like, what the fuck are you rolling up in here pretending like you got a grenade and shit and gonna blow us all? Like, man, get the fucking bag. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's so funny because he's playing it straight.
Yeah.
Yeah. I freaking love it. What's your like top 3 comedic movies of all time? Like comedies of all time?
Well, it's tough because like to me there are comedy movies and then there's movies that are like Point Blank where comedy is a crucial asset, but you wouldn't classify it as comedy.
Right. I get that.
Going pure comedy, I'm going to say Naked Gun.
Oh my God, dude.
I'll just lump all 3 of them together because they're all equally perfect.
That's amazing.
The Naked Gun movies, man, like it was one of the, my dad was he was a narcotics officer and he loved cop movies.
My dad too.
Really?
Yeah, dude. My dad was LA County Sheriff's Department.
Yeah.
Retired in corrections, but he was undercover narcotics for 12 years.
Dude, that's what a
Yeah.
weird world, man. Yeah. My dad was a
Yeah, that's wild.
Arkansas State Police, man. PTSD out the ass.
Oh,
Um,
Jesus. Arkansas. Fuck
yeah.
that.
Meth, dude. He had some of the biggest meth busts. Rest his soul. But yeah, man. But he
Oh, I'm
would,
sorry to hear that, man. I didn't know that.
oh, it's all good, dude. No, he unfortunately did it to himself. But
Oh, fuck.
yeah, it was just
Wow.
deterioration, man. But
How long ago was that?
he
Oh,
died.
look, then I lost you. Nothing is off limits here.
You're seeing the real people. You're seeing the real.
Yeah. How long ago was it?
2015. Yeah.
Fuck, man.
Yeah. Esophageal cancer. Yeah. But, it was one of those things. His PTSD, he lived real hard, and he drank probably, nearly a handle a day, if not every 2 days.
Jesus.
That's just, but I mean, if your dad was a narc, I mean, you probably saw it too, man. I mean, that's a rough life.
That's very rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. He wired, I won't go down the rabbit hole of that, but he put a wire on a kid. I think he was 19, and they found it and killed him, and he heard the whole thing go down, and that really affected him. There's a lot of things like that really kind of contributed to him. But yeah, I saw that. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. But linking it back to comedy.
Comedies of all time.
Sorry. I'm so used to it. I'm so used to going down that road. It doesn't even faze me anymore. But yeah, no, Naked Gun.
No, dude, I love this because that is the thing. You look at that.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example. Like we're just talking about this, and we're talking about PTSD and suicide in the same sentence as Naked Gun and undercover narcotics.
Yeah.
I mean, that's life.
That's just life, man. We're older, man. We know that's life.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, God, I just had Fletch.
Fletch is great.
Fletch is just monumental. And I know it's a Christmas movie, but Christmas Vacation is way up there. I'm a big Chevy Chase fan.
Great, dude.
I actually look forward to Christmas just to watch that movie. It's like that is my Christmas gift to myself, is watching it a couple times, and hilarious. But those are probably, I would say, I think those would be probably my top three. I do love a lot of the spoofs, like the. Do you remember Charlie Sheen's Hot Shots?
Come on, dude. Hot Shots Part 2. Hot Shots Part 2 is freaking amazing.
We don't that genre does not exist anymore. We do not have
the guy's literally like standing 2 feet in front of him, shooting him with a friggin' M16, and he pulls out the bow and arrow slowly and shoots him, and he explodes.
Yeah,
it's just so great, dude.
And he's up to his chest in shells, and it's a perfectly stacked pyramid of
shells.
Yeah.
Dude, I love it. Yeah, and the Christmas Vacation, when Chevy Chase flips the fuck out after the cat's been electrocuted and everything, and he goes on that crazy rant, just using every expletive in the book, is one of the most epic things, and it just makes me laugh every time I see it. It's great. The Chevy Chase movie is in my top three. Three Amigos.
Yeah,
I could watch Three Amigos all the time. And the reason one of the reasons that I love Three Amigos, I said to you on the phone, was I didn't say I love Three Amigos. I just said, hey, think of this character, because we were talking about actors. And a lot of the actors that I've met have this quality about them. Some of them that are either at the top of the food chain, or at one time were at the top of the food chain and have fallen off and are trying to gain that back. They all have this Martin Short Three Amigos quality about them. Like completely disconnected from whatever the fuck is happening to everybody else around them. And all that matters is that moment, that thing of talking about the art of the it's like the Hollywood roundtables, actors talking to actors about actors on acting, and not to just harp on actors, but it's like when Martin Short is sitting there with all the kids in that village who don't have electricity, who've never seen one of his fucking movies. They don't even have running water. And I don't know the actress's name that he was saying, so I'll just throw a name in there. But he was like, he goes, and there I was on set, and Martha Dench came walking down, And she looked at me and she said, "My boy, you've got it." And it's a true story. It really happened. That really happened to me. Wow. And it's just like, what the fuck, man? Like, nobody cares.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I know guys who are about it, like Shia is about it. Like Shia LaBeouf is the real freaking deal. And what do I mean by that? Well, that's somebody that will give you 100%. When he commits to something, it's over. It's a wrap. Like, he is in 100%. And there's a lot of guys in the industry. There's a lot of guys in his orbit that talk about being about it, but they're not about it.
Right.
Like, they really aren't. And he'll make all the other actors fall in line. Directors love him. And he's fantastic. Like, he's probably the best at what he does currently that's working right now. And and I see actors getting off on this weird thing. There's an actor, I'll leave him nameless, but I saw him at talking to other actors, and he's like, you gotta want to die for this shit. You gotta die for this shit. You gotta be about it or get the fuck out, man, because this is life or death. Acting is life or death. And I'm like, it's really not.
No, not really.
Not.
Yeah.
No, so not. But keep saying that and keep talking like that if it makes you feel cool or real.
Yeah.
Is that a subliminal message? Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, but with but when you get to it, when you are doing the thing, then it is serious. It is you're all in. It is you're giving it your all. But the lead up to it is more about an ounce of preparation is worth a pound of cure. And Shia is the kind of guy that he goes, okay, we're shooting here in 6 months. Okay, I'm going to go there and I'm going to start feeling out the terrain, checking out the sets, checking out the locations, getting the DNA of the area into my body and figuring out how I'm going to approach this. You know what I mean? And so the guy's always got my respect. Any project that I get, I always run to him first, which he gets tired of. And then he won't answer my text for a while, and then we'll start talking again. But like, I always go to him first because why not? Why would I bother to work with anybody but the best?
Yeah. What's that dynamic like? Let's go down that rabbit trail. So like, you're saying he's in it, and he that's where he is. And there's a handful probably of actors that I could think of that I assume are that way. I don't know them. You do. But what is it like though when the other actors aren't, or maybe someone on set or someone's not at the level, but you have a Shia who's there, who lives there? What's that dynamic like?
I had that experience. I think he'd be cool with me saying this. I think he'd be cool because I'm working with him on something else. So Tori Kittles, who's a great actor. I remember showing up on Man Down, and he came, he saw me in the lobby of this place, and he goes, "Oh man, I'm having a tough time." And I was like, "Well, what's up?" And he goes, "Well, Shia wants an actual drill instructor, like, for this role. Like, he doesn't think I can do it." And I'm like, "Well, what's the problem?" He's like, "Well, I got this, thing." And he started talking about, how he was approaching it. And I go, "This is, and he's since, modified some things since then." But I was like, you're thinking about this the wrong way. Like, you're thinking about the actor, how the actor is going to approach from the acting, right? But when you show up there and the director says action, Shia is actually a Marine in boot camp. Like, he's actually, like, whatever you tell him, he will respond as somebody who is a Marine in boot camp. And he believes that. So you're the drill instructor. He's in your world, not the other way around. You're approaching this from the perspective of somebody that is walking into his world, and now you got to figure out how to approach this character. When in reality, at any moment, you could be like, "Drop down and give me 50. what did you say to me? Shut the fuck up. Like, you're in my world now, bitch. Like,
Yeah.
this is it. I run the show. There's nobody higher than me at this point. So you're going to do what the fuck I say. And if you approach it like that,
Yeah.
that's how this is going to work. And he was like, Roger that. Okay. Understood. And then, man, when he showed up, it was a different fucking world, man. And he put a world of hurt down on anybody that was trying to look at him sideways, because he showed up and he's like, yeah, I am that guy. I am that fucking guy. That's it. And I just think that's it,
Yeah.
And I just think I'm directing a movie this year, and we've already started the process of that, and I just want to be with people that are about, yes, living truthful under imaginary circumstances. That's something very famously coined by Sanford Meisner.
Yeah.
I'm less about that. I just want to see people having a real experience.
Mm-hmm.
Imaginary circumstances, okay. I don't give a fuck about that. I just want to see people having a real, truthful experience that then is my job to figure out how am I going to capture that in a way where it's communicated to the audience. Because sometimes you can have an actor acting his or her ass off, but the director is not capturing that in a way that can emotionally connect to the audience. So you got to figure that out.
Yeah.
And an editor can fuck that up as well. An editor can take the work of a director and edit it in a way where you're cutting that emotional umbilical cord between the audience and the screen.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot to think about. But I've been in those situations. Or you're in a situation with a really talented actor who's doing the work and pulling out a great performance, but they're a piece of shit. Or they're an asshole. And as soon as you say cut, it's, where's my room temperature water? Where's my towel? Fuck off, or they're hitting on, every female within 50 feet. And that becomes, problematic as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate hearing that.
No, man, I just got off a thing. Not just got off a thing, but I was involved in a project this year, and I've pulled back completely. I'm like, I'm not going to promote this thing. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to be involved in it. And yeah, it takes a village. There's a lot of people involved in a film production, and that fucking sucks. But I'm not going to give the person running that train one more ounce of my juice, because it's been used, it's been abused, and motherfucker stepped out of line. And, and if he, sees this or something and wants to push back or say something, fuck around and find out, because I will drop your name and I still got the receipts.
Yeah.
So like, just, leave it where it is, but I'm not promoting our shit. I'm that kind of person. Like, if something, even if it's mine, like I did this movie called Synapse. It's a terrible film. I wrote it, I acted in it, but it's okay. I mean, we made it for $20K and shot it in LA, and that's something to be said. That is an accomplishment. And, we learned a lot from that in doing it. But I say there was no we. I never saw a dime. It was sold to Amazon. I never made a cent off that film. Not one penny. I put money into it. I had people put money into it that made up that $20K, but I never saw anything from it. And so I don't promote it. I don't really talk about it other than this.
Yeah.
But I'm not one of those people that is like, oh, I got to promote this because I'm in it and business is business. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Like, if it's a bunch of, if the fruit is rotten, I don't want to pass that off to other people. I don't want them eating it.
Yeah.
If it's bad business, bad juju.
And you're in it. I mean, especially because you do the whole spectrum. You write and you produce. So you're early in the process, and you have to live with that project for the length of it. And so if you have a piece of shit out there that you have to tolerate, and you're talking the way you're describing the situation, you have to live with that, and you have to be in that situation for 2 years, 3 years, depending on the scale of the film. And it's like, it's like you have to ask yourself, do I really want, especially after the epiphany you had that's moved you around the world? It's like, do I really want to be in this for 2 to 3 years and then promote it?
Man. Yeah, life is short. Life is painfully short.
Mm-hmm.
And we all could go any minute and just be gone. So I only want to be working with people where it's like good for it seems like a thing doesn't exist. But I just want to be working with people that's good for my soul.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't mean we're going to agree. That's not a bunch of yes people. We might, iron sharpens iron. We're going to go at each other. We're going to butt heads. But, at the end of the day, I want to work with people where I don't, I want to work with lions. I want to work with tigers. I want to work with bears. That's fine. But I don't want to make roar.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want to say cut and then find out that two of my actors have been drug off into the woods and eaten by my lead actor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I see a lot of these interviews of people talking about certain individuals, certain actors that were sexual abusers, or verbal abusers or physical abusers or just rotten fucking people, or producers that ran schemes and double, triple budgets, ripped off financiers, ripped off people of their money, And I see interviews with actors and directors and the like going, I just didn't know about this person. Bullshit. Like you get somebody on a set, and even before the conversations that you have, exactly what you're fucking getting into. Which is why, the second that I started dealing with this one particular actor on set, and then our conversations post, how he treated people close to me, particularly in my family, I was like, man, fuck this guy. Like, I'm not doing this, and I'll drop it, and that's fine, because I'm not chasing an Oscar. I'm not chasing a Golden Globe. I'm not chasing $150 million Marvel deal.
Yeah.
I don't have to, go on, this YouTube show or that thing and pretend like I'm blue collar working class or a born again Christian who just found Christ. And I'm now, a faithful, God fearing, Bible thumping, whatever the fuck, and lie and pander and do all the things that a lot of these professional liars do to sell tickets. I'm not about it. We have one of the top actors in the world who runs a fucking cult, and nobody seems to care, just as long as he does the monkey dance and entertains us all. And it's like, I just don't care about that. There's so many talented, but disciplined, fuck talent, disciplined, consistent artists who execute at like a top level, who aren't getting breaks and who aren't seeing the light of day. I want those people. I want to lift those people and work with those people. And I give a fuck about a name. Somebody walks in and they sit down, they go, well, I'm so-and-so. I don't give a shit who you are. I don't care.
Yeah.
And guess what? The rest of the world doesn't. There's been a massive tide of public opinion that's shifted, and it happened over COVID. The second that people were dying, losing their businesses, right? Like stuff was going to shit, and celebrities came out and did what celebrities usually do. Imagine all the people. We're going to sing a cappella. Everybody went, fuck you. We are done. We're done with your Hollywood Reporter roundtable fucking bullshit. We don't want to see it anymore. Like, do what you do, but don't fucking pander to us and be like, oh, you poor people that are dying, we're going to sing you a little lullaby as as your ventilator fucking shuts off. It's a bunch of bullshit, man. And we're seeing it now with the fires in the Palisades. We're seeing the same thing happen. I just saw this video of these inmates who were working, helping fire crews, and they're taking a break. They're all sitting around picnic benches, And John Legend is sitting with them singing, "We're just ordinary people," like doing an a cappella thing. And it's like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Why are you here? Showing your support? Cool. Give some money or pick up a bucket or pick up a shovel or fucking donate or do something that's actually tangible. Like, well, you didn't see what he gave Adam. Yeah, you're right. But that dude set that time up to be filmed, to sit there and sing to these guys who don't give a fuck and who don't know who he is because that song came out forever ago and nobody gives a shit. You know? Oh, and now we got so-and-so doing Mambo number 5 or the Macarena, you know, for Mangione as he does his death walk to the gallows. Nobody gives a fucking shit. Get out of here. Get out, like Meghan Markle. Get out of the camera lens. No one cares.
Yeah.
And there was this shift that happened, and it's happened even more so now, whether you like it or not, whether you voted for the guy or not. Trump's in office, you know, and there is this kind of new opinion where people, I mean, man, shit, Hurricane Katrina, right? Any of the natural disasters, tornadoes, earthquakes, whatever we've seen around the country, what has been our reaction as Americans? Donate, give blood, give clothes, give food. What happened with the fires? And I mean predominantly. I don't mean there are people that are donating, giving money, helping out, but by and large, the attitude on social media was fuck them. Like, let it burn. We don't care. It's one of the wealthiest neighborhoods. Malibu got burned. Like, people were just checking, going, please, God, please, did Nobu burn down? Oh, Nobu made it. Okay, please, Soho House Malibu, please let that fucking place burn. I just want to see it burn. That's what they were checking on. And that says something.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a commentary on celebrity. So I'd rather be, you know, with the people, you know, who are about the work, and that's it. And they treat people with respect and with dignity. That doesn't mean they're not holding them to a standard, right? But they're about the work and not about that Oscar, Golden Globe, circle jerk bullshit. And we're more elevated and, oh, more holy, and we're gonna hold each other's hands and fucking cry at every fucking interview. Like, I don't give a shit about any of that. Fuck all that.
Yeah, man. I love that. And you're doing the same with AI, right? I mean, we talked about that yesterday. So, I mean, not only is it's cool to hear your passion on that side with actors and with the way you know, cast and pick your crew, but you're also leveling the playing field with Nolan AI.
Yeah. I mean, and that's led into this new thing that, you know, it's Nolan AI. We have these other companies, the Blueprint, X40 Productions, X4 Productions. And I got involved with AI back in 2014 when I was working for James Cameron's company as a sales producer. And I had asked him, I said, what's the, you know, because he was on the cutting edge of tech, and we were doing interocular 3D. And I said, what's the future? Like, what's the thing that's going to flip over the table on the industry? And he said, AI. And I was like, the fuck are you talking about? He's like, artificial intelligence. I'm like, I have no idea what that is. The movie, like with the robot boy, like Steven Spielberg. And and he's like, no, this is what's being developed. Now, the military has had access to some of this stuff way before we got our hands on ChatGPT. So this has been in development for a while, right? And so I got to work on some things in the skunk works there, but then started keeping my eyes out and looking out for it. And basically what Nolan AI is we've developed a platform that empowers independent filmmakers to bypass a lot of the bullshit in the development, pre-production, production phases of making a film. And, you know, now with Blueprint, we're offering those same solutions to production companies and even studios. But, you know, it's a funny thing to have studios talking about the evils of AI and how it's going to take over. And I'm like, that's interesting. And then carting out their golden boys and girls to sit on some fucking panel and pontificate about the evils of AI and what it can and cannot do. Ben Affleck. and Ben Affleck sitting there and going, AI is never going to be able to, because basically it's like these tubes and like these language models, but they're never ever going to be able to do, the things that they're able to. It's like, Ben, stop. Like, stop. You're woefully misinformed about what AI is. You're speaking about one little aspect of it, and you're doing that is combined with territorial pissing. And I know you're in a rough spot. I know J-Lo's got you in a rough spot. I know the back tattoo, that goes from your neck to the bottom of your ass cheeks of a rising phoenix. I know that takes a lot of, work to maintain, but just stay in your fucking lane and talk about what you're talking about, because now you're fucking with my business. So then I got to come out and tell you that you don't know what you're talking about. So what is Nolan AI? And my point in that is they are doing this and getting the support of independent filmmakers going, yeah, AI bad, no AI good, while they're signing deals with the biggest fucking Darth Vader, blowing up planet AI companies in the business. Like Lionsgate signed a deal with Runway. Warner Brothers is signing a deal with Google. Like, all of these studios are signing deals with AI companies. And by the way, actors are signing deals with AI companies. Brad Pitt signed a deal for his likeness to be used in perpetuity. Harrison Ford is working on the same thing. So it's like, you motherfuckers are going to run out to picket lines and stand with actors who are struggling to get by as day players and background actors, and you're going to take pictures with them and go, yeah, buddy, we're on the same team. I'm going to go sign my $50 million deal to use my likeness as a flesh puppet after I die, and laugh all the way to the bank. And you guys are just used as pawns to stall the process as long as possible, so AI can get to a point where the studios need it to be to fucking replace you. You are literally open sourcing your own replacements, and you don't even know it. So our approach to this was to say, look, we got to be on the side of ethical AI. So let's make sure we are following the guidelines of the WGA, of all the guilds. Let's make sure we're paying attention to people and what they're saying. And let's give independent filmmakers, production companies, producers, directors, the weapons that they need to be able to fight what's coming. Because what's coming, and I mean this year, is going to be somebody going, I want to see the Hulk fight Superman in a feature film, and I want Wolverine to ride in the opening scene on the back of the Hulk. And then the Hulk throws him at Superman, and Superman melts Wolverine with his heat vision. And then I want the cast of Downton Abbey to come to the rescue. And click. And I got it. And I got a script. I got everything. And then there it is. There's the movie. Yeah. Now that's a bad example, but basically they just want homogenized AI, algorithmic based storytelling at the push of a button. And they're going to get it. And it's going to look fucking fantastic. The stuff that I'm seeing now, you cannot tell it's not real. And we still see wonky examples on the internet, but that's not what we're fucking with right now. What we're fucking with is, I'm talking about stuff that looks like this. Yeah. You and me talking to each other. And it's indiscernible from the real thing. So what Nolan AI is if you have an idea, if you have an outline, if you've got a concept even, you can go there and use our co-pilot feature as a co-writer to bounce ideas off of, help flesh out your idea and get you to a script. And it'll do some writing for you. But once you have a script, so if Kyle's written a script, you upload that thing into Nolan, and within 10 minutes, you can have coverage of your entire script. So it'll tell you what your strengths and weaknesses are. It'll tell you where there's plot holes, where maybe your characters aren't fully fleshed out, where your characters don't have real defined arcs, where you're missing beats in the story, maybe where the story's kind of dropping off. And it's not based on an algorithm of views, of trying to get you stuck, in views. It's based off storytelling itself. So our AI is trained off of the hero's journey, the hero of 1,000 faces, but also the Odyssey, the Epic of Gilgamesh, the works of Shakespeare. And yeah, Sid Field and Save the Cat and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Screenwriting 101, masterclasses, all that stuff. But it's trained on storytelling itself. So it will give you better coverage than 5 interns at CAA that are all either, stepped outside and were vaping weed or didn't have lunch or going through a breakup with their boyfriend and are going to give you coverage on your screenplay that varies wildly and is a bunch of subjective bullshit, thrown into the coverage after they check the boxes. But ours is not. And it's dead accurate. In fact, we had, not to diss CAA, we actually had a meeting with CAA last week and they were like, this is the best coverage on any of our scripts that we've ever gotten. So there's that. We give you script coverage, but again, 10 minutes script coverage. But you also get your entire film storyboarded, a pitch deck for your film, and a budget and a schedule.
That's sick.
Yeah. So the budgeting, to be honest about that, we're still working out a lot of the, there's some kinks in that because there's so many different variables that change where you're filming, what your above the line is. So actors that you're using and what pay scale they're at and all that stuff. Excuse me. I'm going to grab this water. But it works. And the storyboards are phenomenal. And you can have it traditional, cinematic style. It's consistent all the way through. You could do photorealistic adaptations of your storyboard to help hair, makeup, wardrobe, set designs. You could previs all of your stuff. And so what's happening is a lot of the fuckery that we have to deal with after you get your script written of like, oh, go create a pitch deck. Oh, storyboard your film. Oh, create a budget. What is the budget for this film? What do you think? Who do you want to attach to this project? Those are all things that take time and money that a lot of these people don't have. And so we're saving time, we're saving money. We're not getting rid of positions, but we're moving the goalpost of collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, because before you would have to go to somebody and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking for this character. You don't need to do that anymore. You can articulate your vision and your idea perfectly. And then there's no back and forth. It's just, this is what I have in my head, my vision for this particular script. What do you guys think? And then the riffing starts,
Yeah. It sounds awesome. It's like, oh, you're right.
Oh yeah. Like, Jesus, what happened?
Get that water in you.
Jeez, talking too much.
I know I've kept you up late, man.
Oh, it's all good. All good.
It's just too good of a conversation.
Yeah, but and that's also, we're now going to text to video. But again, it's not to make a movie in the sense of like, we're just going to press a button and out pops a movie.
Mm-hmm.
We're making it so that, we can, and these people, people charge basic coverage on a script $100, massive coverage or extensive coverage on a script $300. For a pitch deck, you're looking at anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000. Storyboarding, forget it. Sitting down with a storyboard artist for months and getting your thing done. Now you can get it done instantly. these are all important. And, where a lot of the fuckery takes place is in this window. It's in development. It's in pre-production. And here's a great case in point. And this is why the budgeting is so important. And this is why we're locking it in the next 2 months. And then we're going to launch that aspect of it and just hit a thermonuclear button in the middle of independent film. And it's why we've gotten 30,000 subscribers. It's why we're taking off, is because of the value of it. And it's this: if I'm a line producer, and a lot of people will do this, and this is a dirty little secret, but I will get a budget for a film, right? And then I'll go, first of all, I'll take a month to get you the budget, right? That'll cost, again, anywhere, $5,000 or a little bit less if it's somebody who likes you and is like a friend, or more, like $10,000, right? But once you have that budget, then the line producer goes to work and starts getting deals for that. Starts saying, well, I can get this deal on this camera package. I can get this thing here. I can do this. I can do that. And they start making these savings. But those savings typically will go to the line producer, and then the other producers take a cut. It doesn't go to the production. It doesn't go to make the film any better. It doesn't go back into the artist's pockets or the people that are working day wages, cast and crew. It doesn't go to any of those people. And so you start to see the budget increasing, but you have all these savings. Where the fuck is the money going? And the money's going into the pockets of the producers.
Yeah.
I won't say what. I worked on a production and I just found out, and this was years ago, I just found out the producers on that production each walked away with $1 million.
Wow.
That's a sore spot for me. And then I'm going to stop coughing, and then you're going to tell me your whole life story, and I'm going to shut the fuck up. Maybe that's the universe saying to call it. But I remember this producer calling us in. This is a big ass production, by the way. This producer calling us in and saying, okay, we gotta cut, guys. We gotta do a shave and a haircut here. So everybody, we're all gonna take a cut. I'm taking a cut. This guy's taking a cut. This gal's taking a cut. We're all making sacrifices. But that's what we gotta do. And for that project, I got $80K.
Wow.
That's before taxes. And that's not including the bumps that I got after production and residuals and stuff like that. But these guys gave us all that speech, right? To cut breaks, to cut days, to shave days off of the production. And those assholes walked away with $1 million. And they walk out of there going, well, I'm worth it. I bring the value to this thing. I.
Yeah.
It's like, if you would have taken half of that, you would have still been able to pay for your fucking Maserati, and given back to the crew, and everybody would have had breaks and proper, days to film and work, and people wouldn't have gotten hurt. That's another thing. So it's really kind of an insidious thing that they do. They raise money for the film, then they cut days, then they make cuts, and put the pressure on the crew to make a profit. And by make a profit, I mean their profit, before the movie is even sold.
Yeah.
So with this AI technology, we're able to bypass that shit and hold people accountable and go, no. The AI tells us this is what the budget is. And by the way, it's already worked out the best deals for us. So, line producer, you still manage the money. You're still handling the offices and cash flow and paying department heads and payroll and all that shit. But your fuckery ends here. Like, that's over. And your guys' business of bridge loans and personal guarantees, foreign sales estimates, and all this fucking mumbo jumbo bullshit that just ensures that you get paid is over. Like, we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
And the same thing goes, you know, for these guys that are kind of like running a racket on these different levels. And just look, I get it as a you know, somebody who's a set builder, somebody who's hair, makeup, wardrobe. I've grown accustomed to a collaboration where I read the script and I go, well, I created this mood board and this vision board, and I have this idea and this flavor for what I think this character should be, and everybody's reading the bones and the tea leaves. But let's save some time. Let's save money, time, and let's be efficient so that the director can go, now, this is what I'm seeing. This is my vision. Now, what do you guys think?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's like this, or should it be lit like this? Let's do all of that so we don't get to set and have these conversations on set. And now we're missing hours and days and all of that stuff. Let's be very clear on what the vision should be. And we can do that with the help of AI.
Yeah. It's so cool, man.
Yeah.
And just giving opportunities, man. Like, so much of that stuff you said feels inaccessible. I love one thing you said, it really, as just a creative, that really spoke to me, was there are some brilliant, hardworking, unnoticed people out there that there's so many of them, man. And inaccessibility, that's a fucking hard word to say right now. I don't know why. That limits people because they have this gift, but they don't necessarily know, where to plug it, or maybe they don't know, maybe they're in Idaho, and maybe they're just, they don't know, but you have this new thing. It's like, well, it's not guaranteeing them a feature. It's not guaranteeing it's going to get purchased, but it's going to get them closer than they've ever been before. And
absolutely,
they can plug that concept in, and a week later they can say, God, I mean, I could go stay at my uncle's house outside of LA and maybe go try to rub elbows with this thing I didn't have a week ago because I live in Idaho, and I have Nolan AI.
Dude, it's so true. And it's like, nobody tells you that. And they tell you a lie. They sell you a lie. The acting schools sell you a lie. The writing gurus sell you a lie. They all sell you a lie. It's like, I'm going to watch Aaron Sorkin's masterclass on screenwriting. Now, he's got some nuggets in there. He's going to give you some valuable information. However, I don't want to write like Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah.
Aaron Sorkin writes like Aaron Sorkin. I want to find my voice. That should be the focus. That should be the focus of an actor. That should be the focus of a writer. Finding your particular, as a director, your particular voice, your way of speaking, because that's what people are looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And with these tools, we're able to do that. We're able to get to that and get to that quicker. And I think that's the value of this. That the lie they tell you as a writer is Hollywood's starving for good content. They're not starving for good content. They're just not making good content because they're more interested in what sells.
Yeah.
They're not interested in good stories right now. They're interested in good stories if it sells. Like, it's commerce. It's it's commerce based. People keep treating it like there's an HR department in Hollywood. Like, you walk up and you go, "Hey, I got an idea. I got an idea about this movie about female firefighters. And it's an all-female firefighter group. I want to see it now. Give it to me now. And I'm going to yell and I'm going to protest and you're going to give it to me." And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? If nobody is buying that, then the marketplace is determining the content. Now, that's where we've gotten. So it is on us to make the art that we want to make. You can't go in there and just say, "I want you to paint this painting of me because you work for me, asshole." It doesn't work that way. Like, we're not making art by democracy or, like some democratic process or whatever. Like, it's like Rick Rubin says, he's like, "I'm making what I want to fucking make. And then maybe you like it, maybe you don't." Like, that's where great kind of films come from. Not, "I want to see all the Spider-Men and all the Spider-Verses and all of creation," like.
Yeah.
whatever. And still, I think Spider-Man is a banger, but still, like it goes back to that thing. We want to help these independent voices be enabled with as many tools as they can to be able to do it. And this, the lie that they sell to writers, back on that, is that content thing. There are close to 60,000 scripts generated within the Hollywood system, within production companies, within, services. Netflix has its own content creation. Like, they're writing their own scripts. There isn't a shortage of content.
Yeah.
Like, there is a, like, I hate this where I keep using this word, but a homogenization of the storytelling process because they figured out that audiences love sex, violence, and the simple formulaic hero's journey.
Mm-hmm.
Hero lost everything at the beginning. He's got to work his way up, and he fights the big bad guy, and he loses. It looks like he's going to lose everything, but then he triumphs. The end. That's it.
Seen it a few times.
Yeah, it's a few. Yeah. And they're just doing it over and over and over again. And then people just go, I don't know, man. Like, yeah, okay, his parents died when he was a kid, and so he put on a costume, and now he fights crime. I got it. And he'll never die, and we'll get endless sequels. No one ever really dies, and now we're here.
Yeah.
The reason that Lucas's original Star Wars films were so great is because he relied heavily on myth. That he relied on, stakes, that people do die. There is an end. Yeah. And then when we go, well, nobody ever really dies because of the midichlorians of the Force and everybody's... Well, then there's no stakes. There's no stakes if you could bounce around to different universes and continue to find Tony Stark in perpetuity. There's no stakes.
Yeah.
And that may work in first-to-market advantage, but once you start seeing that over and over again, and your friends are dying, and this person's dying, and your house just burned down in the fire, you go, this is fucking bullshit. You're selling me a lie. So I don't believe you.
Yeah.
I'm kind of entertained, but not really. And the lie that they tell to actors is you're broken. Something's broken in you. You go to these acting seminars and acting schools, especially here in LA, and they go, yeah, I think maybe you didn't have a good relationship with your father or your mother, and we got to work through that. And once we work through that, then you'll be good enough to audition for that Coca-Cola commercial. But until you go through my 4-year program and all of my master classes, you're not good enough to audition. And it's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's bullshit. Shia has never stepped foot in an acting class. Ever.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the greats didn't, I don't think Bernthal did anything.
Well, no, he did. Bernthal trained with the Moscow Theater Company.
Oh, God. Okay.
Yeah. He and did Stanislavski and did a bunch of shit.
I was way wrong on that one.
No, it's all good.
He went deep on it.
Yeah, no, I can't figure. I can't figure that out. I'm still trying to figure out what hood Barenthal's from. He sits down with a lot of people and rocks the handlebar mustache and the beanie, and he's like, "Yo, dog, like I think I saw this comedian one time. He said Bernthal's the most angry listener, interviewer, the most angry interviewer.
It's so true,
like
dude.
If I'm Bernthal and I'm interviewing you, I'm like."
Kind of recoiled, just scowl, just kind of down posture.
And then, but then he goes on Rogan and he's in a button up, he's clean shaven. He's like, well, after studying with the Moscow Theater Company, and, have you ever heard of this play, Little Bird? Well, fantastic. And when I saw it put on Broadway, and it's like, who the fuck is this guy? Because the last episode I saw you going, yo, dog, this is what it is. Yo, bong, bong. And I'm like,
who is this guy?
Yeah. And why is that? That's funny. There's a funny fucking friend of mine who's he's trying to work his way up the comedic circuit. He's freaking hilarious. African American, and he goes, I got a question, man. And I go, yeah. And he goes, why is it that white people, he's like, it's just white people. He's like, why is it? He goes, and he like stopped himself and he goes, let me phrase it this way. He's like, when you get around an Australian, do you start talking with an Australian accent? I'm like, no, I don't think so. And he's like, you get around, somebody from East LA, Mexican, Chicano, hey, what's up? What's up,
Mm-hmm.
Holmes? What are you doing? You start talking like that? I was like, no, I don't think so. He's like, all right, cool. Then why the fuck when you get around me or when you guys get around me, you start trying to have this affectation that you guys are all fucking up and coming mumble rappers. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I
Yeah.
was like, that is interesting. I go, I don't know. And he was formulating a joke. He was like
Mm-hmm.
trying to form like a set. But then we got into a real conversation. And I was like, no. I want to know why that is. Like, why is it that we sit down and it's like, yo, homie, what's up? Why are we doing that? Why are we
Mm-hmm.
doing that? Where's that coming from? And he said something really profound. He goes, do you know where that takes place? The only other place in the world where that takes place. And I go, no. And he goes, the animal kingdom. He goes, animals will mimic other animals because they're afraid.
Mm.
And I was like, that's interesting. Maybe you
Wow.
got something there. Maybe you got
Wow.
something. So that was a long loop,
It's a
but
good loop
yeah,
though, man.
that was a good loop. But maybe
Yeah.
that's it. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
But that's wild. I don't know why people do it, but I see a
Mm-hmm.
lot of these guys. Andrew Schultz does that shit. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like I watch him and I'm like, that's not you.
Mm-hmm.
you know. But maybe that's how you act when you're not beating your girlfriends. I don't know.
You-
Shots fired.
oh yeah. Bow across the bow.
No, but I love when he got called on that. He was like, it's like you beat your girlfriend and she was underage. And it's like she wasn't underage. Oh, how dare you? I'm going to do a
Yeah.
podcast about how she wasn't underage. And it's like, well, you skipped that other part where you made her clean the bathroom where you cleaned the bathroom with her toothbrush and did all kinds of reprehensible shit. You just bypassed all that.
You-
Anyway, have fun in Madison Square Garden.
I didn't know all this. This is all new to me. I got some
Yeah.
research to do.
No, man, I'm a pop culture junkie.
Yeah.
But also, here's the thing. This is the other thing. Like, I'm just not a dick, like, talking shit for clicks. We talked about this. I spent 12 years as a close protection specialist. So I was a bodyguard,
Mm-hmm.
glorified babysitting, but I did a lot of work for celebrities. I worked the security, the green room and the media tent for the Golden Globes one year, did the Music Cares event 3 years in a row, did the Oscars once, and then I attended the Golden Globes once. And I said this to you, all of those experiences over more than a decade made me never want to attend the Golden Globes or the Oscars
Yeah.
because you see people as they really are. And there's lovely people,
Mm.
but there's a lot of pretending, a lot of pandering, a lot of selling shit. The guys that are talking about family values are typically the ones, and selling family values to everybody are typically the ones that are, not getting home on time because they're out with 3 escorts. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Yeah.
And it's like the ones that are talking about sobriety all the time. You got to be sober, man. Like, sobriety is the key, man, to my happiness. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Oh, sobriety. Let's talk
Yeah.
about sobriety,
Yeah.
and and it's funny to kind of kick against that shit. But I also feel a lot of empathy for those people because the thing that you struggle with most is the thing you typically rail against the most,
Mm-hmm.
at least in this town. And I've that's sad. I feel sorry for that. But I talk a lot of shit because I have kids and I have a son. He's turned 20. I have a daughter who's 24, and now I got this little one who's 2 years old. And, you know, my son went through that period of watching all these videos of all these people who he idolizes and going like, I need to be like that. And I'm like, yeah, but that's a lie, number one. And what he's selling you is kind of some hyper masculine version of this thing. It's not real. And there's no truth to it. Sometimes somebody could be lying, but they're telling you, they're lying in the presentation, but what they're saying is true. And that is true. You could have somebody who's pretending to be a devout Christian give you some nuggets of truth about Christianity. Somebody who's lying about being sober, giving you nuggets of truth about how to be sober. Like, that is all true. But when they're selling you some bullshit and doing some false prophet shit, that becomes dangerous. Then you get guys like, you know, the pastor that was Justin Bieber's pastor, who's fucking all these, you know, girls and trying to seduce all these underage girls. It's like, man, when you start doing that, making money and getting up to a certain level of affluence and stature where you're affecting my kids, I got to take shots at you. Because I used to be the guy driving you motherfuckers around in cars and making sure your water was a certain temperature. And, you know, dropping you off at one of the massage parlors that we referenced at the beginning of this podcast.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I still have those receipts. And this one was heartbreaking for me. I remember taking my son to a Comic-Con that I was working security at this Comic-Con. And I went to go meet this actor that he was a fan of. And I walked him up, and he was up on stage, and he was talking about getting back to his family, reading his daughter a bedtime story, like some really cool shit. And also talking about, you know, kind of all the things that we had mentioned, blue collar, working class, family values, all this stuff. And when he stepped off stage and I got around to go meet him, because I had stepped away from security, so other guys were managing it, he had let this like gaggle of hookers in, and they were all waiting for him when he stepped off stage. So now he steps off stage and he's walking off with these gals, and now I gotta go, hey, this is my son. He wanted to get a thing, and he really looks up to you because you're that guy who's like the symbol of this and that. And great, you know, and he's got these guys. Wow, your son's so cute. Like, what's your name? You know, and it's like,
Yeah.
Dad, who are those girls? Son, those are whores. You know, and it's like, they just don't understand. And just like actors don't understand that when they commit to a project, for example, and then they go, oh, fuck it, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm pulling out of this. You know, or I got a beef with the director. Fuck it, I'm out of here. I'm not doing this. You've just cost the jobs of hundreds of people, if not more. Your tantrum has now cost the jobs of all these people. Or when you do something that increases the budget, delays shooting, you know, does all of that. Like, you're fucking with the livelihoods and the lives of hundreds of actual working class individuals who are dependent upon you to show up, do your job in a efficient manner in order for them to pay the bills and then get their next gig, you know, in the hopes that maybe this is, you know, semi-successful or just a good film, you know.
Yeah.
All these guys laying cable, camera crews, you know, all these guys, stunties, all these people. And so I got no patience for the prima donna, star-loving, star-fucking ecosystem that this town has created. Though idol worship, I'm not about any of that.
Yeah.
Any of it. Kind of here to like flip over the tables and chase the money changers out of the temple of art.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you're out there doing it, bro. I think it's good stuff. I'm glad we got somebody doing it.
But I appreciate you, brother. Appreciate the combo.
You too, man. This was truly a blast.
Yeah, man. And we'll talk soon. Send me the book.
You got
Let's
it, man.
keep the conversation going and reach out anytime, and I'll be reaching out to you.
Sounds good, man. Dude, it's been good. You have a good
All right,
night,
brother.
man. You love it. Go love on that baby.
Thanks, brother.
All right,
Talk
man.
soon.
Take it easy. See ya.
See ya.